What's up, guys? We are back, and this is Nick Caligaris with the Paper Trails podcast. Very excited to come at you guys with episode 8. We've got some absolutely amazing feedback for the last couple episodes. Hope you guys are enjoying them. If you are, let us know, comment, share with any business owners, entrepreneurs, people that are in sales that just want to learn how to succeed, and especially in the food industry. That's kind of what we're focusing on. Today we're in Clemmons, North Carolina, up here in the Winston-Salem area, and I have a good friend of mine, Sammy Gianopoulos. And so, Sammy, welcome. Appreciate you coming and hanging out with us. And so, just wanted to chat. Sammy, my family has known Sammy and his family for many, many, many years. And just some background on Sammy. He has an absolutely great reputation up here in our area. My family respects his family, and he's had a string of successful stores and has done well, and does a lot of our caterings and for the church, and a lot of weddings, and so he's the guy. Good friend of the family, and so I wanted him to come on here and share, and let's just talk a little bit about his experiences and challenges and projects and things that he's opened up, and things that maybe we can learn from and gain some wisdom from, and just go out there and apply it into our industry, whatever industry you're in, restaurants, food trucks, even if you're just an employee and you want to get a perspective of an owner and what they're looking for. And so, Sammy, welcome. And
thank you.
And so, tell us a little bit about.
First off, I'm a big fan of the podcast.
Okay.
I watched every episode, and I reached out to him. I said, "This thing's great. We need to do one sometime." So he invited me on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, a big fan of Albemarle Paper. I respect what the guys are doing. I love that they started a company and they went through the same struggles as us restaurant guys go through, but kind of in the same space, but a little bit different. I am a restaurateur here in the Triad. I'm a graduate of Johnson & Wales University.
Okay.
In Charleston, South Carolina. Did I know I was going to get in the restaurant business? I guess I did. It's kind of in my blood. Never thought I was going to be a chef, though. Thought, let's try something different. Let's see where it goes. So like I said, I graduated in 99, and I've opened up 9 different concepts in the past 22 years.
22 years?
22 years, I think if the math's right.
Your first one was when? How old were you?
First one, I was 21 years old, Giano's in High Point.
Wow.
I sold that about 12 years ago.
So how did this, you work for your dad's, how did this start?
I grew up in my dad's restaurants.
Okay.
Wasn't a good student.
Okay.
High school student, let's say. So I went to my father and said, "Look, I think I want to go to culinary school."
Okay.
Bobby Leluthis, who's owns out West Steakhouse in Kernersville, is a CIA grad, and he goes, "You know what? You ought to try it. Go down and take a tour, and if you like it, you ought to go into the culinary side of it." So I went to my dad and I said, "Look, I want to go to culinary school." And he goes, "I paid for you to go to school once. It didn't work out. So if you do good, I'll pay for it. If you don't do good, and when you're in college and you waste my money, it's all on you." And I ended up graduating Dean's List from Johnson & Wales.
Nice.
From there, I was a chef at the Biltmore Estate for about a year.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How was that?
Awesome. Unbelievable company to work for.
What did you learn from that?
One thing I really learned, the owner would walk in through the kitchen and shake everybody's hand. He was not the owner of the entire estate. He was born in the Biltmore. The Vanderbilt family was his grandfather. And he would walk in, shake everybody's hand. He was happy that people were there working for him. Another interesting fact I learned at the Biltmore was that general managers had to clean the bathrooms daily.
No kidding.
And I thought that was a little, I was like, I don't know
excessive?
about this. Yeah, but did they actually clean it? No, but they were there every day making sure they were clean. If the bathroom's clean, the kitchen's clean. So it was a great experience while I was there. I met my wife while I was there. Came back and I ran a seafood restaurant for some friends here in Winston-Salem, which is no longer in business, before I went off and opened up my own store in High Point.
That's awesome.
Opened up in High Point. I was young. I had just got
21 years old.
21. Just got engaged.
What made you at such a young age? I mean, a lot of people, I think some, especially this generation, I think has ambitions, would love to have the chance to open up a restaurant. They just don't know how to start, what to do. I don't know. What are your thoughts? I mean, let's say you're talking to an aspiring young entrepreneur. They're maybe, not going to college or maybe go to culinary school or, I don't know what.
It was a huge step. I mean, the first 6 months was very tough for me. Here I am, 21 years old. All my friends are out still in college and partying and having fun. And I'm walking in the restaurant at 8 o'clock in the morning and leaving at 11 o'clock at night.
Yep. All day.
It was very tough. You had to figure it out. At the end of the day, hard work is what gets you to the next level. I remember going to my father and saying, you know what, I don't know if this is for me, right after we opened up.
Yeah.
Wasn't making no money. I said, you know what, I could go work for somebody and live a simple life, And he sat me down and said, look, hard work, take care of the customer, which is the number one thing. Make sure your food's nice, fresh, and plentiful. And the restaurant ended up exploding right in front. It was the craziest thing. I went from one day worrying about how I'm going to pay my bills to the next day. I expanded, I think, after 4 years, added another 1,500 square feet to the store.
Nice.
About 60 seats. And then we actually remodeled it again. We were 3 times in 10 years. So we were, Giano's was the it spot in High Point, still is. And it exploded, And then from there, I said, you know what? Now it's time for number 2. I went again to my father and said, what do you think? He goes, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're ready for number 2 and you can financially get the financial set, go for it.
Sure.
So I went, did it, opened up my second location. It was a seafood restaurant that I built in High Point called Aquarius Seafood.
So that was 10 years after having?
No, it was about 5 years after having the first one. I was 26 years old when I opened that up. And it did very well.
How was that dynamic going from one now to 2 different concepts?
What saved me, really, they were a mile apart.
So they were close.
They were close by. I was back and forth. I could have started one night, at one restaurant and run to the other one and be back at the other one, and that really helped me. One thing that's always helped me is good staff. Take somebody who you see wants to grow or wants to learn, and you kind of mold them and teach them.
Mentor them, help them.
And mentor them. That has been, in all my restaurants, in the 20-some years I've been doing this, that's one thing that I've always looked to do. I was actually talking this morning to a chef friend of mine. He started off as a fry cook with me when I opened up Aquaria.
Nice.
He went on to Johnson & Wells, and he's in Charleston, South Carolina. He just opened up his first location down there as a chef, executive chef of an Italian restaurant. I'm proud of him. I'm glad to see that. 100%. Was he a little hard-headed and stuff? Yeah, at the beginning he was a 19-year-old.
We all are a little bit.
Oh, we all are, yeah. He was a 19-year-old kid that knew everything back then. And here we are 14, 15 years later. He's running a very high-end Italian restaurant in downtown Charleston. So
nice.
Love to see things like that.
100%. So you're 26, just opened up a second location, seafood restaurant. They're both in High Point, a mile apart. You've talked to Dad. He gave you kind of the pep talk, and you built a successful company. So where does Sammy go from there? How does
about a year after we opened up Aquaria, the Furniture Market Authority reached out to me and wanted me to open up a restaurant in downtown High Point inside the Furniture Market.
Okay. So by now, you're having relationships, you're meeting people. The city of High Point knows who you are, I'm sure. Yes. And
so I made my connections. People are reaching out to me. So we opened up a restaurant twice a year during both furniture markets. Okay. Inside, we're the only full-service ABC, full-service restaurant in downtown High Point during the furniture market.
Okay.
That was hard.
Which if people are watching this, that is a huge industry here in High Point.
90,000 people come twice a year to High Point. And actually at the time, High Point was right at 100,000 people that lived there year round. So here you are having double the amount of people coming into town.
Double the population.
For 2 weeks a year, running 3 stores. And at that time I was young. I was eager to get any type of business that came in front of me.
Yeah.
Did a lot of catering at that time to the furniture industry. But it was tough. It was tough staffing there at the end of it. I had the 2 stores. I was pushing people. I had people working 20 hours a day those weeks, even myself. And the older I got, I realized, you know what? I'm not a young boy no more. It's hard to...
Stressful, I'm sure.
It's very stressful. So yeah, High Point was a great time for my first 10 years in business.
What years is this? What years is...
So I opened up Giano's in 2000.
So those 10 years, 2000, 2010 is when you made your run, you made a name for yourself. Obviously struggles. It wasn't easy. Dad was there helping, kind of giving some coaching and
Dad was on his way out. He was there helping me, like I said, more mental advice and business advice.
Sure.
Coming out of culinary school, I had all the best ideas and,
the skills
I was going to be this big chef, and he sits me down and says, yeah, there's nothing wrong with being the best chef out there, but you have to put food on your table.
Sure.
I had a daughter in that time frame, so I had a family. I was married, so I had to make sure I had food on the table at the end of the day. But one thing that I did very well in High Point, I reached out to the community. I was very active.
That's good. That's awesome.
Any organization I was a part of, I actually won Businessman of the Year, Chamber of Commerce 1 year, which I was really shocked by. But it was a cool honor, I was involved. Any charity, any startup, a charity event,
fundraisers, all that stuff. You were just involved.
I was there.
I mean, and I know you're still involved, even with a lot of stuff. And so I think maybe that's something for people to think about. You know what I mean? It's cool to take care of your own and your restaurant and yourself, but at some point, branching out and making connections, building relationships. Relationships is a lot. I know for me in my business, it's all relationships.
One thing we try to teach in our restaurants now, you can go anywhere, get a good steak. You can go anywhere, get a good burger.
Sure.
It's the hospitality side of it.
Sure.
Is how you get people to your doors. It's hard to teach and hard to have that culture throughout your restaurant at all times. But it starts from opening the door to customers and thanking them for coming in, and then also greeting them, or not greeting them, but a good farewell. You don't stop, once they order and once the payment's made. Community is very important.
100%.
I think here in Forsyth County we have over 700 food establishments. So how many food establishments does a customer pass to come to your space to eat?
Yeah, that's a good point. Just being appreciative of every customer, every client. And this is just a side note, just so you guys know. I haven't even told you this. I had dinner last night at Sammy G's in High Point.
Thank you.
And the waitress was phenomenal.
Thank you.
It was a fantastic. We'll pop a picture up here. It was like a grilled chicken with cheese drizzled with some vinaigrette and some roasted cauliflower and potatoes. And it was a special last night, and it was Austin. Throw a little picture up here. It was, but anyway, but yeah, it just, and the point of me saying that is obviously, Sammy has great stores, but that culture that you create where every person knows that they play a role, from the dishwasher to the host, to the wait staff, to the obviously the chef playing a big role, but everybody adds to the restaurant, to the feel, to the experience, and that's why they want to come back.
It starts at the top.
100%.
If the owners don't have the right culture, that trickles down to the management, then you can't expect your host or your dishwasher to act the same way. I'm glad to hear, thank you for going to Sammy G's last night. I'm glad to hear that it was a memorable experience for you. It was
great.
Especially when, I'm not in the building. I believe my partner Johnny may have been in the building yesterday. I wasn't sure. But it's good to hear. It's kind of hard. So there's 3 partners that have 3 locations now, and it's hard for us to be everywhere at one time.
Yep.
And that's something we preach. Like I said, to me, the most important person in the restaurant industry is the dishwasher. Me coming from the back of the house, I'm always big on making sure they're good, making sure they're happy. They're the first one there, last one to leave, the dirtiest job. So it's
pretty interesting you say that, because our last podcast, with David Lucarelli, he does operations for Sabor Latin Street Grill. They got 15 locations in Charlotte, and he said the same thing. He said the most underappreciated person, but one of the most pivotal points is the dishwasher.
It's true. You've done it.
Yeah,
I've done it.
It's very repetitive, monotonous work, but you know, when you need clean dishes or you need certain bowls or you need some, you know, anything taken care of, they're kind of the cornerstone of it.
They really are. I try to feed them as good as I can.
100%,
I try to take good care of them. But it don't stop there with just a dishwasher. It's the whole place.
Everybody.
It don't matter how it's decorated, like I said, or how good the food is. If the hospitality is not there, customers don't return.
I always tell my staff, anytime we have company meetings, Sammy, that it's like a watch, like a Swiss watch. Every part of the watch plays a role for the time to be correct.
Exactly right.
There's no. People may think there's certain parts that are more important than the other, but the reality is, if they walk in and there's not somebody there to greet them or say hello, or there's so many moving pieces to have a successful business, much less restaurants.
Yes.
That's why it's important for you have present ownership. That's why it's so impressive, even for you to tell me the owner of the Biltmore came into the kitchen every day and that just shows this guy is present.
And I learned a lot from that. I try, and I really try to be at all my locations as much as I can.
Yeah.
But like I said, me and Johnny Pappas and people with Chadas, we try to be in one of the stores at some part of the day, every day.
100%.
It's important. It's how we compete with the big chains. The owners in the building, you're not just a number store, let's say, store number 32.
Yeah.
We want to greet our guests. We want to shake our hands. It's funny, a lot of times I'll know where guests sit every time they come in and what they eat and what they do for a living before I know anything else about them,
Yeah.
But it's important. They're the ones that help us run our operations every day, where them coming in and supporting us, like I said, they can pick any store, any location to go in, and from a McDonald's to another steakhouse or something.
I think that's why it's so important, especially in today's climate, to be consumer centric, because the options are insane.
Yeah.
I mean, people can go to a gas station now and order a meal and grab a quick dinner or a drive-through, and so they choose to do business with us. We appreciate you. We appreciate your business. Thank you. We want you here.
Exactly.
And so okay. So back to you got your third location, the furniture restaurant. Yep. And so you did that. How long did you have that one for?
So I kept the furniture restaurant. It's called The Factory for about 9 years.
Okay.
Like I said, the reason I got out of it was just getting tough for me.
Sure.
I was getting older. No more breakfast caterings to midnight parties.
Sure.
I had to step back a little bit. My daughter was getting older, and
you want to see her?
I grew up with my father working 3 shifts in the restaurant industry, working all day. So I knew I didn't want to be that father, and I wanted to be active.
Yep.
So I partnered up with some guys here in Winston-Salem. We opened up a location called S1E8. At that time, I decided to sell Giano's.
Okay.
And move on.
What years is this?
I sold Giano's in 2010.
Okay, so a good 10-year run.
Great 10-year run.
Great 10-year run. The restaurant was good for you.
Yeah, the restaurant was doing good. It was a good opportunity to sell it. So we did some renovations. We changed it up a little bit, made it more into a tavern-style restaurant.
Okay.
A little more customer-friendly.
Sure.
Opened up for lunch, and things were going great.
Nice.
We then came, same group, we came to Clemmons and opened up a store called 2520 Tavern. I believe that was in 2011, if I'm correct, 2012. Great run there. We took the restaurant and made it very successful.
Nice.
Made it a landmark here in Clemmons, North Carolina.
That's awesome.
So then Fratelli's came.
Okay.
Fratelli's opened up. It's been open 7 years, actually.
Nice.
It's going very well. Fratelli's is an iconic location. It's right across from Wake Forest University.
Okay.
Next to R.J. Reynolds' home, so very touristy area, right on the outskirts of a neighborhood.
Okay.
It was an iconic steakhouse that opened up in the 50s.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we took it over.
Was it closed?
It was open as a sports bar, actually.
Okay.
And we knew that wasn't the right thing in that location.
The right fit.
We had to go back to the steakhouse. At the time, beef.
What year is this? 13?
13.
Okay.
2013, 2014.
So we're getting out of the recession. It started to pick up a little bit.
Started to pick up. Beef prices at the time were at an all-time high.
Okay.
And we're like, oh my God, why are we getting in the steak business when it's going to be hard to make money that way? So we actually decided to open up an Italian steakhouse.
Okay.
Knew the area, there was no other thing like that in town. We opened up, first year or two was tough for us.
Okay.
But we stuck with our guns. Good food, good service at a good price. And Fratelli's just keeps on climbing. I think we're up 11% last year.
Nice.
So
that's impressive.
Especially as long as it continues to do that, we are the preferred I must say, dining establishment for Wake Forest basketball, for Wake Forest football.
That's awesome.
Wake Forest soccer, all the recruits come in there. So we've become that spot.
Isn't that interesting how you knew that's what that place needed, right? Like it's sometimes there's a little intuition and stuff too.
Yeah.
Like your experiences working in your dad's places, bouncing around, seeing high points, seeing what's working. You see that? Did they approach you? Did the restaurant close? How did that even happen?
So the restaurant wasn't doing well, and we knew that.
Yep.
Pete, one of my business partner now, was a property owner, one of the property owners there. He knew they were on the verge of, maybe not being there much longer.
Yeah.
So we approached them. We said, "What did it take for you to close down and for us to take over?"
Yeah.
We cut a deal, and
then, bam,
8 months later, we renovated and we opened up for business.
Which, if you guys have not been, a fantastic store, beautiful restaurants, so I definitely highly suggest you guys stop by if you're in the area or if you guys are visiting. But so that's awesome. 7 years, 11%. I mean, that's, and you got, from working with you for, a few years now, great staff, great people in place there to make sure things are running well.
And that's what it takes, going back to the whole staffing thing. We've had people that have been with us, 15 years.
That's awesome.
And we strive on that. We keep that. It helps. If the same person's preparing your blue cheese dressing for 15 years, then the consistency factor is there.
Yeah.
One thing they taught us in culinary school, I'll never forget this saying, they said, be consistent, whether it's good or bad, but be consistent. Mm-hmm. And it's true. So like I said, we like to keep staff, and that's who helps us day to day. If it was just 3 owners running 3 restaurants, good luck. We have about 120, 130 employees that work hard daily for us.
Yeah. That's awesome. So 2013, Fratelli's opens up, right? New projects. First time steakhouse? First concept?
First time steakhouse.
Okay.
Yeah. Which was a big learning. When you're dealing with a product that the price fluctuates so much in beef, and not only that, every time you put a knife to a loin, you're losing money somewhere, So it was tough. It was very tough at the beginning, but we figured it out.
Learning curve, and
which
happens.
Yes.
In any industry, you get into, making apps. There's a learning curve. You got to do some due diligence. You got to do some homework. You got to do some studying, right? Like it's not just you don't just wake up and become success. Success didn't hit Sammy on top of the head and then bam, he's got There's some trial and error. There's some difficulties. There's some struggles. You figure stuff out. You learn how to handle your books. You learn how to be a little more diligent. You learn there's different aspects, and so, because just going to culinary school doesn't mean you obviously just a restaurant.
No.
There's different parts of the business. And so, so cool. All right. So then, we're progressing 13.
So then Fratelli's opened up. Fratelli's is off and going. Me and my partner, Johnny Pappas, ended up changing Oso Tavern to Sammy G's Tavern because we had a little split in another partnership.
Which is where I had dinner last night.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then we found this building where we're sitting in today.
Yep.
3 Bulls. We opened this 2 years ago. We did it as an investment. Ended up opening a steakhouse when we said, "Look, we're 40 years old. We got a little more juice in us."
Okay, so it's more of an investment property.
It started as an investment property. It became a restaurant. Actually, me and my partner Pete. made an offer on this building and had the deposit down before we even told Johnny Pappas
about it,
our other partner, about it. So,
sorry, Johnny.
Yeah, we had the keys, and me and Pete one day say, "Come on, let's go for a ride." And we ended up here, and Johnny was like, "All right, while we walking into this building, we said, we're going to buy it. If you're in, we're buying it."
Yeah.
So we bought it, and we opened another steakhouse. Why? We knew at that. Now we know a little bit more about the beef industry. And we didn't want to open up in Fratelli's. They're about 12 miles apart. Okay. We wanted to open up something a little different in a growing part of Forsyth County.
This whole area from Clemmons down the road all the way up here is, even from what I've seen working up here in the last few years, has exploded.
Yeah, this is where Forsyth County is kind of moving to. So we open up. Again, same struggles, figuring out the clientele.
Sure. Yeah.
It took us about a year to figure out a few menu changes, a few staff changes, and we're happy with what it's producing today. Again, great staff here. Every time we open a new store, we bring staff from other locations. We take line cooks and train them to be kitchen managers, train them to be chefs. Same with the front of the house management. Our front of the house manager here was actually a bartender with us when we opened up Fratelli 7 years ago.
Nice.
And now she's the general manager here and runs this store. She knows exactly what we want and how we run our operation. And she's doing a great job for us.
What's something that you've learned opening up a restaurant, like opening a business up? Like what's something like that maybe you just didn't know from opening up? I guess the learning curve from 1 to 2. And then from 2 to whatever number this 3 is.
This is number 9, and none of them have been under budget and in the time frame that we hoped for.
So when planning, be conservative, or for any business for that matter. To be honest with you, have a cushion, whatever that is, 10%, 15, 20. If you think you'll open up in 4 months after remodeling, make sure you're okay with 5.
Exactly, and to be able to keep the restaurant up and going for a little bit. It's not guaranteed for people to walk in your doors first day or to order from you on day one. You got to go out and get the customers in, and once they're in, make sure you take care of them.
Talk for a second about maybe the mental, like the grit that you need to have, because it sounds like even when you were 21, because the reality is when you're young or maybe you've worked for somebody for a little while, the owner's the one that bears all the pressure.
Yeah,
they're the ones that are feeling it when payroll is coming or a big bill is coming, or they maybe want to make an expansion or a renovation or go in a different direction. And so there's not for a lot of times, I'm not saying every employee or what industry you're in, but a lot of times there's not pressure like that. And so when you step into ownership or you step into a different role within a company, or you want to get into sales, you really start finding out about yourself and what you're made of, and grit and having thick skin, and people telling you this isn't a good idea, and from what my experience, even when we started our company, I remember our first 4 or 5 years, my dad and my uncles didn't think we were going to make it. We're 4 years in, still making $500 a month, a measly salary, working full time. And they were like, man, what, obviously as parents, they want to see the kids do well, and seeing kids struggle is not what you want, but it's sometimes what you need.
It's determination.
100%.
It's being mentally prepared. Same story. Like I said, when I opened up my first store, I was ready to walk. I had to talk to my father. He said, take care of your customer, So I had to mentally prepare myself. It might take another 6 months.
Yeah.
It might take another month. Didn't know. Same as you, 4 years into it, you're saying, all right, what did I get myself into? And I think as a business owner, it's in your DNA to strive to be the best.
Sure.
I'm sure after 4 years, something clicked in you in your company and said, you know what? I'm going to make sure that this thing works.
Sure.
And not just to prove your parents wrong or to prove your mentor down, but say, you know what? This is what I put my focus to. I'm going to make sure I take care of it.
And I feel like better than anybody the momentum that a business had. I could feel it was coming. I could feel 3.5. Every year we were making progressions. we had never even worked for a distribution company. I mean, I was 21 and John was 18. We're kids. I mean, we didn't, looking back, I wish maybe I would work for somebody so I understood sales or deposits or logistics. But listen, it is what it is. I learned. I made a lot of mistakes, but I think that's why,
That's the best learning curve where you just set mistakes. When you make your own mistake, you don't make it twice.
You don't.
I've been there, done it. Trust me. I've made plenty of mistakes, but that's why your company's at where it's at today. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. I see it as a baby, a project that we're growing and we're working on, and every day we're learning. And I'm the one thing that even my staff can. I want to learn from absolutely everybody. I want to gain from the strengths of everybody. I want to learn from you. I want to learn from everybody on this podcast. This is why I even do it. I want to strengthen our relationships and learn from other people's. Because I think you learn more about from other people's struggles and their victories. Because when you win, you don't do a lot of reflecting.
No.
Because you won.
Yeah.
But when you lose, you look back and you say, okay, you know what? Maybe I could have changed those two decisions. Maybe I should. I mean, it's just, but it's pretty.
I tell people this all the time. Our parents, I'm sure your parents are in the same boat. They come to this country with just one thing. They didn't speak the language. They didn't have that financially secure.
Nope, absolutely not.
But they had drive.
100%.
Taking me to Japan with a family, not speaking the language or no financially secure, nothing, and say, here you are, start a business.
It's like almost an impossible task.
I don't. Not just my parents. A lot of the immigrants who came to this country.
Any immigrant who came, and
I respect them. So I've always had in the back of my head, if my father's been in this country since the 70s, in the restaurant industry, and still speaks very broken English. After all those years, and I said, all right, if my father can do it, and he's given me the education and giving me the financial insurance, let's say, I should be able to do it in 100 times greater.
Sure.
So that's a job. When they came to you and said 4 years, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure
this is going to happen. I was thinking about this statement. I don't know where I read it or where I heard it, but how do you stop a man that doesn't know how to quit?
That's true.
You can't.
You can't.
You cannot. If you can't stop a man that doesn't know how to quit, man. And I think that's maybe an underlying thing, maybe even just, 8 episodes in. I'm like, you know what, man, the more I'm reaching out to people successfully in all industries, the more I'm like, drive and that desire, man, you will figure out everything else. You know what? I'm not a good cook. You will become a good cook.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not good with people. You will become good with people.
You're right.
Hey, I'm not a morning person. You will become if you have the desire.
Yes.
If you have the drive, if you will absolutely do whatever it takes. I was just watching an interview that Kobe did, maybe one of his last interviews before he passed away, and he was talking about desire, and he said that if I had pulled a quad or if I pulled a hamstring, and I'm at the house resting, and it's really hurt. It's hurting, and the doctor said I need to rest and don't walk on it. You need to rehab and do this and that. And a fire breaks out in my house, and my kids are upstairs.
There's no pain,
brother. They're and I don't even have children, and I'm like, you know what? He's 100% right.
100% right.
There is no injury. There is. You will do whatever you need to do to make sure that the task at hand is accomplished.
Yes.
Period. Case closed. And so maybe that's something that we can just kind of reflect. Whoever's watching or listening to the podcast is like, you know what? How bad do I really want to be successful in sales? How bad do I really want to make this thing work?
That separates the everyday person with the entrepreneur or whoever wants to be the best.
Yeah, it's the
best. So his drive. Same thing with every entrepreneur needs to do. It's the drive to be the best.
Sure.
Whether it's distributing paper goods or whether it's operating a restaurant.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's a separator from good to great.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people can be good, right? And you can do a good job and you can show up and be on time. But that it factor that people talk about is being a little better, 1% better every single day.
Exactly.
So
we after all these years, in the industry. We still every day work hard can we save a point here? Can we produce a better product?
Sure.
One things that I do for our restaurants on a monthly, I feel like, is tweaking menus.
That's a great idea.
Can I make? Well, we always have to be at the top of our game. So, what's the newest flavor? What's the
what's hot right now?
What's a new trend?
Yep,
Not only that, can I make a better dish for the customer, but also cut back on my food cost a little bit.
Yep.
It's a daily thing that I try to look at. What's selling, what's not selling, and where can my restaurant be better.
Yeah. And that takes intentionality.
Yes.
Like you can't rest on your laurels and be comfortable, and say, okay, I got a good business. It does X amount of sales every week.
I'm happy.
I'm putting money in my pocket. You know what? Listen, if that's how you are, that's fine.
Yeah.
If that's what you want, right? I mean, who are we to judge, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But
I agree.
For somebody to make that pivot and would like to go to the next level and have that kind of excellent mentality, that Mamba mentality, I guess in our industry, it's how are we better? How can I change the packaging? How could it look a little better? Hey, Nick, what are you thinking right now?
Exactly.
Hey, what's hot? Hey, where can we improve just a little bit to tweak something to change the presentation?
I feel like once a business stops
evolving or growing,
that's it.
It's over.
I've seen plenty of restaurants that were very hot at a certain time, but they didn't do nothing. They didn't change anything.
Yeah.
They just kind of were okay with whatever,
Sure.
at the end of the month they were
Sure.
making. A lot of times they're no longer in business.
Blockbuster.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Kmart, all these companies.
Exactly.
I don't know if you know the evolution of IBM. IBM stands for International Business Machines.
Yeah.
They started out making meat slicers. Then they transitioned into time clocks, right? Then they transitioned to computer parts, and now they're a consulting company.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, look at the evolution of IBM, and they evolved with the times, and that's why they're still around. People know who IBM is. You talk to any millennial, and you ask them what a Blockbuster card is.
No idea.
It's over.
No idea.
But it's a good point. You have to be thinking ahead, right?
And I feel like they're not, like you said, it's not only restaurants, it's any company.
Any industry.
But if Blockbuster would have just went to a streaming,
something
percentage type thing, Netflix, they'd have probably still been here.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Even the way, I don't know the story exactly, but I think the way that even happened, how Netflix started was, it was a customer of Blockbuster's that got upset about something, and they said, and like they just wanted to stick it to them, and then
I think it was probably late fees.
It's
probably late fees. I paid more
like
late
that.
fees than when Blockbuster was around.
Yeah. But anyway, Sammy, parting thoughts. What are your thoughts, man? Any suggestions, thoughts? Anything you'd love to tell people about not only your restaurants, but just over a 20-year. How can you take 20, 21, 22 years worth of experiences and struggles and victories and high points and having a successful family and having a successful business and creating such an awesome name for yourself up here in the community? Somebody wants to do the same thing. There's a 21-year-old just like you.
Be prepared
that's watching this.
Be prepared to fight daily. Be prepared for the worst case scenario.
Yep.
It's not easy. Be ready in the restaurant space. Be ready to work a lot of hours.
Sure. Be okay with that.
You have to be okay with that.
Evenings, weekends, you got to. That's part of the life.
One thing that I do now, I get alerts when they walk into my stores,
Sure.
and I get alerts when the last person leaves at night. And really, I work all those hours. I have to know what's going on at all times, just to protect my thing. But long hard hours, investment. Be ready for the worst case scenario. But at the end of the day, make sure that you're taking care of your customer. Make sure what hits the table is what the customer wants, and you'll be fine.
That's it. So awesome. Sam, appreciate you, man. Awesome.
You so much
I think
for
it was awesome podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I absolutely enjoyed it. I love spending time with people that stretch me and help me learn different parts of business. I mean, I don't know everything, and I know that, and I'm always down to learning and understanding businesses and what makes them thrive. And hopefully you guys got a couple of gems from this podcast. And so appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging with us. And so, like I always say, if you guys have any thoughts or suggestions, let us know, comment, share, like, and we'll see you guys next episode. Thank you.